Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories: Micheál Martin's hit out at Boris Johnson's approach to Brexit. A Waterford TD is calling for more funding for cancer screening services. A Waterford publican says it's a relief to be given a date to reopen. And in sports, Sam Bennett is back on the road for the 11th stage of the Tour de France after his victory yesterday. The Taoiseach has hit out at Boris Johnson ahead of a phone call between the two later. Micheál Martin has said British legislation aimed at undermining the Brexit withdrawal agreement is a breach of trust. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
The war of words between the Irish and UK governments heating up earlier, with Taoiseach Micheál Martin saying Boris Johnson has undermined the Brexit trade talks.
Meaningful negotiations can only proceed on the basis of mutual trust.
Yesterday, the British government admitted it was willing to break international law and the withdrawal agreement if there's no trade deal. Boris Johnson was asked today how anyone in the UK can be expected to keep the rule of law if that's his attitude.
Mr. Speaker, we expect everybody in this country to obey the law.
Later, Micheál Martin and Boris Johnson will speak over the phone, with the Taoiseach saying he'll raise Ireland's complete opposition to the UK's attempt to undermine the Brexit agreement. At the launch of the government's Brexit business plan earlier, Foreign Affairs Minister Simon Coveney said there's now a real threat, particularly for Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland is too fragile and too important to be used as a pawn in the broader Brexit negotiations.
The plan is a stark warning for businesses no matter what the outcome of these trade talks, with the government warning businesses that if they intend to trade to, with or through the UK in 2021, lots of preparation is needed before December. Sean Defoe, Leinster House.
A Waterford TD says more funding is needed for cancer screening if we're going to have any chance of keeping up. The National Screening Service paused their programmes in March due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and began a phased resumption in July. Sinn Féin's David Cullinane tabled a motion in the Dáil and called out the Minister for Health, who said we didn't need any additional funding for screening.
I don't believe that for 1 second, because if we have any chance of keeping up, never mind catching up, we're going to have more staffing, more physical space, more laboratory space. And to say that's not a reality, in my view, is accepting that we're going to have a greater build-up and more people waiting for screening and more people waiting for treatment.
Fianna Fáil's Mary Butler says the resumption of essential screening services is a priority for her and the government. She says the last 6 months has been very challenging.
COVID-19 has forced us to change the way that our health services operate and the way patients interact with our health services. Cancer services have adapted and continue to adapt. Through the extraordinary efforts on the part of our healthcare staff and the National Cancer Control Programme, we have ensured that patients continued to receive essential care. And it is very important to add at this point, for those who are waiting for screening and are waiting to be called, that if indeed you feel that you may have an issue, it is so important not to stand back and wait, but to contact your GP.
There's been 128 new outbreaks of COVID-19 in private households in the last week. Dublin and Limerick may be facing restrictions on house visitors as the two counties see a rise in cases, as Casey O'Riordan reports.
The latest figures from the Health Protection Surveillance Centre show there has been over 2,000 outbreaks in private homes, while for the first time a child under the age of 4 has been admitted to intensive care. Dublin and Limerick have seen an increase in cases over the last number of days, leading to the prospect of restricting visitors to households. Tánaiste Leo Varadkar says a similar measure has been implemented in Glasgow.
That is an option that I think we'll have to consider if the numbers keep going in the right direction.
He added that pubs in Dublin may not be able to reopen on September 21st alongside pubs in rural Ireland if the number of cases continue to grow. NEFIT has specifically urged people living in Limerick and Dublin to make an extra effort to follow guidelines. Limerick TD Richard O'Donoghue wants them to start giving a breakdown of where confirmed cases are located.
We're not asking for your name, we're asking you to give us a town or a village where the clusters are and clarify so people then can be respectful.
These people in Limerick can't see a local lockdown happening.
No, just go with it for a while, see how it goes.
Could happen, alright, but it's unlikely, I'd say.
307 cases were confirmed yesterday, 182 in Dublin and 19 in Limerick.
At least one new case was confirmed for Waterford yesterday. 25 cases are divided between Waterford and 11 other counties. A publican in Waterford feared they would be closed for the rest of the year. Pubs were told yesterday they could reopen on September 21st after being closed for 6 months. Mary Brady-Sharp is chairperson of the Waterford City branch of the Vintners Federation of Ireland. She spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today and says it's a relief.
Because it was going on, and this 3-week cycle, I'm not joking you, it was crushing me, the 3-week cycle. And I could see it going on for the rest of the year. And my darkest days, I just thought we'll have this for the rest of the year. So it's a huge relief to be given a date and to have something to work towards.
The President of the ICSA is meeting with the newly appointed Minister for Agriculture this afternoon. Waterford native Edmund Phelan says the meeting with Minister Charlie McConalogue will be an opportunity to discuss issues impacting farmers, such as animals' TB status. Recently, a new policy was introduced by the department and farmers were issued risk assessment letters. Phelan says it puts a stigma on a herd that's been cleared of TB and farmers are up in arms over it.
Big issue in the last week has been the department took it upon themselves to send out letters, sort of risk assessment letters, to every farmer in the country about their TB status. And farmers are up in arms over this. And it sort of thought that it was something that was sneaked in the absence of a minister. And I'm actually meeting the new minister, Charlie McConalogue, and it will be one of the top thing on the agenda. There will be this letter.
The boss of Ryanair has labelled the Irish government as the worst in Europe when it comes to handling the return of the aviation industry. Michael O'Leary is calling for more effective testing at airports and the easing of restrictions on foreign travel. It comes as the airlines threaten to close its bases in Cork and Shannon from October to March. Mr O'Leary says the focus on COVID-19 case rates is damaging.
I would rank the Irish government as by far and away the worst. As the rest of Europe opened up to intra-EU air travel on the 1st of July, the Irish government, which has abrogated all management of this to a bunch of medics and civil servants called NEFIT, we've kept Ireland completely locked up. We're not even allowed to travel to the UK, despite the fact that people can travel across the border with Northern Ireland with no restrictions.
Larchville Lisduggan Residents Association has been selected to represent Waterford in this year's All-Ireland Pride of Place Awards. The association was put forward by Waterford Council, having won the Mayor's Spick and Span Awards last year. Volunteers have been busy planting flowers, painting and generally making it a nicer place to live. The area is known as the Parish. Local councillor is John Aherne.
This is a great place to live. We have a lot of people coming back that bought houses outside the parish and then realised what they missed, and they're all dead. A lot of them are coming home and buying houses here. It's very hard to get a council house here now. There's so many people put in for it. But it goes back again to a lot of the volunteer groups, the boxing club, the soccer clubs, the guys who turned out year in, year out, training kids, generations of kids in some cases. And they have a great pride in the place, and they all magnate towards the parish. So it's just a great place to live, and we're very proud of it.
Secretary of the Association, Veronica Dambras, says they've already been interviewed by the 3 judges and their passion shone through.
Asking her what was their opinion on the place, what did we like, how did we combat some of the disadvantages we had, like as John said earlier, bonfires, people that may cause trouble, but in all estates, you see, everybody has a little bit of something. But we just don't want to have a negative impact on this. We actually want to keep it positive the whole time. So the man was quite impressed, so the judges were actually quite impressed.
The winners will be announced in mid-October.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
Starting with cycling, where after completing his collection of Grand Tour stage wins yesterday, Sam Bennett is back on the road for the 11th stage of the Tour de France. Bennett holds a 21-point lead over Peter Sagan in the race for the green jersey. Speaking before the start of today's race, he says timing will be everything.
Yeah, a bit more relaxed today and ready to go again. I think timing, I suppose every sprint is timing, but today especially, gradually uphill, headwinds. It could be a tricky one because if you leave it too late, you mightn't even get out. But if you go too early, people are just going to pass you. So
today's race ends in Poitiers, the same town where fellow Carrick-on-Shore man Sean Kelly won his first Tour stage in 1978. Sean Kelly said winning at the Tour de France is a dream come true for cyclists.
It's something to dream about from the moment you start bike racing. The Tour of France, everybody knows about the Tour of France, and to win a stage in the Tour of France is always a bike rider's dream, and he achieved all of that yesterday, and there was so much in there, it's not surprising he was so emotional.
The riders have just passed the 20-kilometre mark of the 170-kilometre flat stage. To soccer, where the Waterford FC first-team coach says no decision has been made on whether Daryl Murphy will start on Friday. The Blues make the trip to Dalymount Park to face Bohemians. Former Bolton Wanderers player suffered a calf injury in pre-season. Franny Rocket spoke to WLR's Matt Keane.
He's still in the recovery process at the minute. For us, it's obviously the physio is going to make a call for us though. It's as soon as he's ready, he'll be on the pitch, because Murphy's ready. He's mentally ready to go. He's itching to go. But the problem is if you want Daryl, you need to make sure that he's there for the long term in terms of the maximum amount of games, if you want to put it that way. You don't want them to come on, and then have to get a relapse or whatever like that. So it's just managing that and hopefully releasing him at the right time where he's ready to go. Because look, we can see what Murphy will be capable of, and adding him to the team at this stage of the season, I don't think any team in the league could add that quality. We're lucky.
Kick-off on Fridays at 5:45 and WLR will broadcast the game thanks to McConnell Motors. And in Gaelic games, the action continues in the JJ Kavanagh Waterford County Senior Football Championship this evening, with 3 games throwing in at 8 o'clock. Kilrossity and St Saviour's go head-to-head in Kilmacthomas. Dungarvan GAA is the venue for the clash of Onrine and Bricky Rangers. And in Friarfield, Clashmore, Kinsale Beg face Ardmore.